All right, buddy. I appreciate it. It is 9 o'clock on the Eastern Coast on a Tuesday evening. And this is where we get the nuts and bolts of what we talk about, what we train on, how to do what we do. Nick and Mike asked me a few weeks ago to start a 2 or 3 part series on annuities. And if you were on the call 3 weeks ago talking about the basics of annuities, great. If not, part of it is recorded. We're gonna have to reshoot it because I am not tech savvy, and apparently I didn't record the first half of it. They left me in charge of all this, and that's not a good idea. And apparently I didn't have enough bourbon that night. So anyways, I'm going to kind of recap briefly what we talked about. If you're on this call on a Tuesday night, you're out there doing something. I appreciate you guys. I see a lot of familiar names on here. Some of y'all on vacation and still plugging in. Guys, annuities are where the big money's at, not just in helping protect your clients, but also benefiting your bank account. The vast majority, and I said this a few weeks ago, the vast majority of insurance agents, well, let me back up. If you have a life insurance license, a basic life insurance license, which if you're doing this business, you have a life insurance license, you can sell fixed and fixed indexed annuities, which is what we have. We don't do variable annuities. Variable annuities, people can lose their money. It can go up and down. That's why it's called variable. But with fixed and fixed indexed annuities, people's monies in those annuities are guaranteed never to lose due to market volatility. And so having a life insurance license, we always talk about how you've got a license to print money. And that's just going out and helping people with their basic life insurance needs. But on top of that, as you get to know them, build the trust with them, you ask the right questions, and you start to find out that these people have money, you realize that there's a lot more that you can help them with in protecting their finances from market volatility. And the trust and the rapport is already there with the life insurance side of things. They already know you. They've already let you help them with their life insurance needs. And if you approach it in the right way, asking the right kind of questions and showing that you genuinely care about them and their family's financial future and interest, that's what you have as your best interest is their financial future, those people are going to open up and allow you to help them move their money into fixed and fixed indexed annuities, which is going to benefit them. It's going to benefit you. What is an annuity? An annuity is simply an interest-bearing account with a life insurance company. It's an interest-bearing account with a life insurance company. I like to call it a savings account on steroids. Annuities, fixed indexed and fixed annuities guarantee that a client can never lose their principal. They can never lose the money they put in it when the market tanks, as the market goes down. And we talked about that last time. And just why it's so important. You say, well, why wouldn't somebody just stick it in a savings account or a money market account or a CD at their bank? Well, people do because they think that's their only option to protect their money. They know it's not growing worth anything. It's not even keeping up with, now 9.1% inflation. Forget 3% inflation. We're talking 9.1% inflation under the current administration that we have in office right now. Things are just going to hell in a handbag. And people are worried, hey, what does my financial future look like? What does the financial security of my family look like? Here's the crazy thing. The experts, the financial experts cannot predict what is going to happen to the market, but they can look back on patterns and say, hey, based off of what's happened in the market over the last 100 years, we're due for just a mega market, like just bomb tank, just devastating crash, sustained crash. Who knows if that's going to happen? But the experts, even though they can't accurately say this is what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, are saying, we're long overdue for this. And if you look at the signs, everything is ripe for that. My point being is people are at an all-time high worried about their financial future, their financial security. The average American family right now is spending an extra $400 to $500 a month just on the same basic bills that they've had prior to what's happened in our government in the last 2 years. And again, I'm not trying to get political, but you can't put your head in the sand and say, oh, things are fine, things are good, we'll get out of this soon. Like, we're seeing crazy numbers that we've never seen before in the history of the United States. And they're not good numbers. They're people are worried about their livelihood and their financial future. The beautiful thing about annuities is they've survived the test of time. And I don't think I touched on this last time, but did you know that the concept of an annuity, the concept of it has actually been around since the Roman Empire. And you can do studying on annuities and read up on the history of them. But here's the basic simple premise. Fixed and fixed indexed annuities, FIAs and FAs, fixed annuities, fixed indexed annuities, guarantee that you cannot lose your money due to market volatility. And I want to take a second right here. I didn't have this last time, or it didn't show it last time, just because I was trying to do basic overview. But I want to, if I can make sure I do this right, I'm going to do a screen share. And I want you to see this graph right here. And I'm going to blow it up just a little bit. This right here is a chart. It's a graph that I show every one of my clients. And I'm going to show you a different one here shortly that you can actually go onto NAA's website, the ARC, and download. This right here is a graph of a comparison between what a fixed indexed annuity does, which is the green line. You see that up here, and the S&P 500. This is not a hypothetical. This is not a what if. This is an actual representation of what happened when a client with American Equity put his $100,000 into it from a 401k when he retired. He put $100,000 into this fixed indexed annuity with American Equity. And this was back in the late 90s, right before 2000. And what I want you to see here, and every time I show this chart, every time I show this graph to people, I ask them, I'd say it just like this, just like I'm talking to you, Jim, Mary. This is not a trick question, but looking at this chart, looking at this graph here, if you could have your money represented by one of these two lines, which one would you pick? And the hundreds of times I have asked that question, hundreds of times without fail, 100% of the time, the client says, oh, the green line. And I'm like, why? And they say, well, it looks like it's doing better than the red line. And I'm like, yes, it's doing better. But notice that when you see this red line, which is actually the stock market, the index S&P 500 in 2000, 2001, 2002, when the towers fell, nobody had any idea the extent of what the Middle East was going to do to not only the US, but other countries. You see where the market tanked. And then the market started to recover in 2004, 5, 6, 7. And then look what happened again in 08, 09. Let me scroll down just a hair so you can see those numbers. In 08, 09, when the housing market crashed. Everybody knows what happened when the housing market crashed. Oftentimes we say, hey, people's 401k became a 201k. And this is exactly what the market did. In fact, if you are listening to this call and you had money in the stock market in 2008 and 2009, to some degree, you lost money. You lost money. But look at the top line, the green line. In 08, 09, when people were losing money left and right, when the housing market tanked, if your money was in a fixed indexed annuity, you didn't lose a damn penny, not one red damn penny. Why? Because fixed indexed annuities, fixed annuities guaranteed in market volatility, you can never lose due to the market tanking. So notice what happened, 08, 09, 2010, 2011, the market started to recover a little bit. And look, the monies in fixed indexed annuities got growth too. You see the growth from 2014 to 16 to 2018, the money's growing in the fixed indexed annuities as well. Now, let me say this so that we're very clear on this. In order for insurance companies to allow clients not to lose any money during a downturn, so let's go to 08, 09, where you never lost a dime if your money was in a fixed indexed annuity, insurance companies cannot and will not give you the full growth of the market upside. So like look here in 2018, 2019, 2020, you see the market went down a little bit at the end of 2018. In December of 2018, the market went down, but if your money was in a fixed indexed annuity, it had never lost. Again, not getting political, but 2016 to 2022 was kind of known as what they called the Trump bump. It was the Trump bump when Trump took office. Love him, hate him, whatever. The dude's a great businessman. He's got a savvy business mind, and it was the driving force behind the American economy at that time in order to cause interest rates to go up. in the stock market and in people's financial accounts. It was called the Trump bump because the market was long overdue for a correction, and it didn't correct around 2015, 16, 17 and have a downward turn like it was supposed to. The point being is we're now long overdue for that market correction. And so while there was a little bit of a dip at the end of 2018, the market surged back up. And then we all know what happened with COVID. I've got a different graph I don't have in front of me right now that shows up to 2020 when COVID happened. And you remember when the market lost almost 40 points in March of 2020 when COVID became a worldwide scare. We had no idea what the hell it was. People were freaking out. People thought everybody was dying from COVID. Now that all of that's kind of smoothed out a little bit and we realized there was more BS being told us than what actually happened, the market has quickly recovered from that. So what you see here between 2000 and 2020, the market has finally performed well enough to match, actually surpass what a fixed indexed annuity did over the last 22 years. Well, here's the key. Here's what you got to keep in mind. If God forbid what the experts are calling for happens, especially sooner than later, which is another market bomb, a market fallout, if that happens and this red line just plummets tomorrow, next month, next year, whatever, people are going to lose their shit if it's in the market. But in a fixed indexed annuity, they'll never lose below what the interest that was credited to their account has gained year after year. So the money in a fixed indexed annuity at 326,000 will never lose below that 326,000 if the market falls out tomorrow. But you say, hey, right now the market has outperformed this particular annuity over the last 22 years. Look, it took 22 years to get there, and that's not guaranteed. That's not promised. That's not 100%. This is what's going to happen. Just ride it out for 22 years and watch the market come back. If the market falls out tomorrow and your money's tied to the market, you're going to lose your shirt. But if your money's in a fixed indexed annuity, you cannot lose due to market volatility. So we're at a prime position right now in the insurance industry to educate and to help our clients realize, hey, look, here's what your money's been doing over the last 22 years, and here's what it could do tomorrow. Could it go up even more? Yes, it could. Does it look like that's what's happening? Look at what the last 3 months in the market's been doing, and that's a big negative. But it could, in theory, it could. It's not likely to. But if it did, yes, you can still get more growth. However, that money's still exposed to market volatility. And let's say the market spiked 15 points over the next 6 to 8 months and then just bottomed out in February of next year. Where are you at? Here's another thing I like to point out and show to people. Look in 2008, okay? The client had put $100,000 in his 401k back from his 401k into an annuity back in the late 98, 99. The graph here shows it from 2000. So $100,000. If he would have left his money in the market where it was from 2000 to 2008, we're talking 8 years. If his money was still in the market, over the course of the next 8 years, he would have barely, not even gotten back to his full 100,000. You see, he's at 99,933 8 years later. So 8 years of turmoil, 8 years of, oh my God, what's going to happen? 8 years of, I don't know if I've got time for this to recover. I'm retired. And he's watching his money just dip, 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 dip. But in a fixed indexed annuity, this guy was able to put his head on the pillow at night knowing, hey, there might be a year or two where I don't make anything. We call that zero is your hero. There might be a night or two or a year or two where I don't make anything, but I'm not losing. So while look back at our example here on the graph, if you had 100,000 still in the market in 2000, in 2002, it's down to less than 60,000. You've lost over $40,000. If you're in 2002, 2003, would you rather be this guy who's putting his head on the pillow at night knowing it hasn't grown a ton, but it's still there? Or would you rather be the person that's like, I've lost almost half of what I had, and I have no idea what that trend's going to continue to do? Am I going to lose any more? What's going to happen? Well, fortunately, the market started to recover after all that craziness, and it peaked again in 2008, and now he's almost back to where he was. 8 years later, he's almost back to where he originally was. But if your money's in a fixed indexed annuity, 8 years later, you're 30% higher than where your money was originally 8 years ago. You're 30% higher, along with the guarantee that you cannot lose. You cannot lose that money. And look at what happened in 08, 09 with the housing market. Dude had just gotten back to even if he left his money in the market. And within just a few short months, boom, he's back down to 61,000. Meanwhile, if you had your money in a fixed indexed annuity, you've gotten the 30% growth over the last 8 years. And while the market falls out and everybody's scrambling, worried about their financial future, you're just coolly putting your head on the pillow at night knowing, hey, I may not grow over the next several months, but I'm not like Billy over here who's struggling, wondering where his financial future and security lies as he see the money continue to plummet and the stock market continue to plummet, right? So let's just go back to 2008. Okay, Billy's 8 years later, he's barely got almost back what he originally had from back in 2000. 08, 09 happens. And look at this. It's almost 2013, 2014 before he gets back to where he was originally with his roughly 100,000. Right here, beginning of 2013, halfway into 2013, almost 2014. So 6 years later, after getting back to where he was originally and then watching the bottom fall out again, 6 years later, he's barely back to where he was. Look at homeboy who put his money in a fixed indexed annuity when he retired back in 2000. And his money in 2013, 2014 is sitting at a cool 170,000, 70% more than what he originally had. And it's 13 years later, while he's watched his friends struggle in the market back and forth, up and down, up and down, up and down. And here's a question that a lot of retirees and folks as they're getting into their later years have to consider. Hey, okay, my money's in the market. I've seen it go up and down over the last 20, 30 years, but do I have that much time left in my life to where if the market bottoms out, am I okay? Am I going to be around long enough to see it recover just to break back to even? And what I want people to understand, and I wish I had a graph drawing board, something that I could do, but I'm not going to try and dig it up right now. But picture this with me. This is simple math. Most of us are going to get it wrong the first time we think about it, but it's simple math if you think about it. Okay, $100,000. Track with me. You got $100,000. If you lose 50% of $100,000, what do you have? You got $50,000 left. You had 100, you lost 50%, you're down to 50,000, right? Basic math, everybody's tracking with me. Here's where most people erroneously think or don't think. Oh, I lost 50%. Okay, I need to gain 50% back to get where I was. No, you're at 50,000. If you gain 50% of where you're at now, you've gained 25,000 because 50% of 50,000 is 25,000. So if you lost 50% to get you to 50,000. Now, if you gain 50%, you're only at 75,000. You have to gain, if you lose 50% in the market, you have to gain 100% back just to get back to where you were. 100% of what you have to gain 100% back of what you have just to get back to where you were if you lost 50%. Let's go back here to our illustration that you see in 2008 in the S&P 500. Dude's almost at 100,000. He lost, in this case, about 40%, almost 40%. So he's down to 61,000. If he only gains 40% of 61,000, he's barely getting $24,000, $25,000. So he's got to gain 80%, 90% of what he has just to get back to 100,000. And look, it took him almost 6 years just to get back to that point. Whereas those that had their money in a fixed indexed annuity, hey, yeah, there were a couple of years they didn't really gain. But would you rather be the person that's not gaining but staying where they're at? Or would you rather be the person that's losing, wondering how many years is it going to take just trying to get back to where they were? You tracking with me? So you don't lose 50% and think, oh, I got to gain 50% to get it back. No, you have to gain 100% to get back to where you were if you lose 50% of what you have. And so I show people that all the time to help them see the reality of, look, in 22 years, the S&P 500 has finally caught up to where the money that was performing in a fixed indexed annuity. But that's 22 years of no stress, 22 years of no worry, 22 years of just, hey, financial security, 22 years of, hey, if the market falls out tomorrow and never recovers, we're okay. And so even though the market after 22 years has finally caught up to where fixed indexed annuity performance is, the big difference is the fixed indexed annuity holder has the guarantee I can never lose, whereas those whose money is still tied in the market, it could bottom out tomorrow, next month, next year. And it depending on how much they lose, it could take decades to try and recoup and get back to where they were. So there's a lot of financial security and stability in the market. Now, let me show you this real quick before I stop sharing. You go to the ARC, go to carriers, American Equity, that's one of our insurance companies. Click on that page. It's going to pull this up right here and come down here under product information under real benefits chart. You see this right here, real benefits chart. Click that link and it's going to pull this up. I can't let you have the other copy of the chart that I was just using because that's part of a program that I pay for as far as learning annuities and having access to one of the masterminds behind who's one of the top annuity producers in the country. But this graph right here is available on American Equity's page on the ARC, and it's the same thing. They haven't put the most up-to-date one out there under that product information page, but you see the exact same thing here. Here in 2000, the guy started it in 99 or 98. I'm sorry. Here in 2000, you see this market volatility and you see what's happened. And as of 2018, at the end of December of 2018, the market was on a little bit of a downward trend. It's no joke when you show this graph to people. It is no joke, 100%, hands down, every time they'll tell you they want their money represented by the green line. And my very next question when they say that is, if that's the case, excuse me, if that's the case, why do you have your money where the red line is? Why do you have your money invested in what the red line's doing? I'll follow that up with questions like, hey, Jim, Mary, Martha, Bob, whatever, of your money, I don't care if it's 50,000 or if it's 1.5 million or 5 million of your money, how much of it are you okay with losing if and when the market falls out in the near future? How much of your money are you okay with losing? And if they say none, then hands down right then and there is where you need to start having the conversation with them. Hey, I'm going to be out here this time next week. We're going to sit down and I'm going to show you how this works so that you can make sure your money's never at risk again, ever in the future. You get people quite a bit that they'll tell you, oh, my money over the years in the market, it's up 120%, it's up 80%, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, that's awesome. That's great. Question, answer these two questions for me. And if you can answer these two questions for me, I'll tell you when and how long to leave your money in the market. Okay, just answer these two questions. One, when are you going to die? And two, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, when you really need this retirement money, what's the market going to be like? Answer me those two questions definitively, and I'll tell you how much and how long to keep your money in the market. And the reality is they can't answer that. They don't know that. They have no idea. And that's the point of it, is it's like, okay, if you don't know, why would you sit there and continue to gamble with the fact that your money is in a place that if the market fell out tomorrow and bottomed out, you could lose a big chunk, all of it. Are you okay with that? And if they're not okay with it, then you've got to be educating them and helping them find out, hey, what options do I have in order to get this out of where it's at and get it 100% protected from any market volatility. I just had an appointment today with a client that unfortunately met with an insurance agent end of last year, and he sold her a policy. And the client said, hey, I've got this little money. They had gotten to talk about, financial protection, annuities, things like that. And the client said, hey, I have this little 529 plan that I was going to use for my son to go to college. He didn't go to college. I need to do something with it. It's just directly tied to what the market's doing. And I need to figure out what can be done in order to move this money and protect. And we're not talking a ton, but at the time that this lady talked to this insurance agent, she had a little less than 40,000. It was like 38 point something thousand in that little account. And the agent was like, yeah, we'll talk, we'll follow up. I'll make sure we get you taken care of. We can move it. No problem. We'll help you out. You know, stuff, affirming stuff that you want to tell your clients. But here's the problem. That agent never, ever, ever followed up with that client again. That client made efforts to reach out to that agent, and that agent, just being so busy, never followed up with that client. Well, guess who sat with that client today, this afternoon, and saw that client's new quarterly statement from second quarter of this year, and saw that that client, instead of having 38,000 plus back in January like they had, is down to barely $30,000 in 6 months. Due to what the market's been doing, that client has lost $8,000. $8,000 in 6 months. We're not talking somebody that had $800,000 and lost 8,000. We're talking somebody that had $38,000 and is now down to 30,000 within 6 months, just like that. And the trend that the market's doing, and what the experts, I say that term loosely, what they're predicting is that that client's 30,000 now could dwindle to next to nothing. And guys, my point in all of that is, look, when you talk to your clients, when you try and help in basic terms and basic graphs and just pictures and just kind of plant the seed and educate them on the power of fixed indexed annuities, do your due diligence and follow up with those clients, because time is of the essence. Had that agent just done what he should have done, and whether he was versed in annuities or not, he should have followed up, made sure that that client had the resources in place, whether he went and talked to his upline, found a mentor, found an annuity expert, whatever, and gotten back with that client, she'd still have that money protected and never lost a dime. And now she's down almost 20% just since the beginning of the year. And that's absolutely ridiculous. And in my opinion, that's on the agent right there. The client has no idea who to call, what to do next. When you sit there and tell them, hey, I'll follow up with you, we'll get you answers, we'll figure this out, we'll make this happen, that client's waiting on you to be the one to follow up. They're not just going to Google life insurance annuity specialist. They don't know that. They don't know what these terms are. They're not educated in this. And they're looking for help. They're asking for help. You've helped them with their life insurance. They trust you. Why are you going to drop the ball here on them? Why are you going to sit there and just act like, it's just not big enough to mess with or deal with, or I'm just too busy? Your too busyness is affecting somebody's livelihood. I don't got time to deal with that right now is the difference between somebody making sure their family's taken care of, or somebody that's going to have to go ring a bell at Walmart in their retirement years just to try and eat by. You're not too busy to make sure that you're doing right by people. And if you don't have the time or the interest to follow up with these people, then don't make promises and tell them you'll take care of them and get them taken care of and make sure that their needs are being met if you have zero intention of following up. Because we're not about making money, we're about protecting the clients and doing right by the clients. And the good news is you make a whole hell of a lot of money when you do it the right way. And that's what I'm passionate about. And this, my heart goes out to this lady. Here she is, 61 years old, been working the same freaking job for the last 22 years of her life, tried to set her son up financially to help with his college. And he didn't use it, which that's their decision, their business, whatever. He didn't use it. And there was an agent that could have helped her move it and protect it and take care of it so she didn't lose what she had put in there, plus what interest had grown over the last 13 years. And in the 6 months, due to the economy, the atrocious economy that we're in right now, she's lost almost 20% of it. So again, you can't put eyeballs on it and say, well, that's just not big enough to mess with. Or excuse me, bear with me. A little burn to help the back of the throat. What you may not think is a lot of money or a big deal is somebody's livelihood. The difference between somebody being okay and being able to retire, or somebody having to go work 3 or 4 more years because they lost what they had. Don't let that be on you. Don't let that be on your team or your agents. If you say you're going to do something, follow through with it. Make sure it happens. Get them in touch with the right resources. If you don't want to do it or can't do it or don't have any desire to learn how to do it, get them in touch with the right resources. Because in this case, that agent's busyness affected this family's livelihood. And so guess who's working with that client ASAP, getting the answers that they need to make sure that that money's moved and protected and taken care of completely. Oh, by the way, she was contributing $100 a month to it for the last 13 years. She's been contributing $100 a month to this plan. And over the last 3-4 months, the $100 that she's been putting in due to the market volatility has been losing anywhere between $150 and $170 a month. So she's putting $100 in and she's losing about $150, $170 a month on average due to the market volatility in this plan. Guess who had her delete her banking information on this plan so they're not drawing $100 a month anymore out of her account where it's just pissing away? And guess who took that $100 a month and put it towards a life insurance policy? So now she can make sure her son's taken care of no matter when she passes, whether 61 tomorrow or whether 91. There's a life insurance plan in place for $100 a month that's going to pay out to her son and make sure he's taken care of, because the plan for him to go to college didn't come to fruition. And she wanted to make sure she wasn't still contributing to that plan that was constantly losing hand over fist over the last 6 months. And this is my point, guys. When you're doing what's right by your clients, and that's your focus, that's your mindset, and you're utilizing all the freaking resources that we have to do that, you're building clients for life. You're showing clients that you really do care. And whether it's big payday, little payday, whatever, trust me, the money will follow. The money will 100% follow. Yesterday, that was today, that was this afternoon. Yesterday, I met with another current client who called me and said, "Hey, Mark, it's Catherine. Barry and I are going through a divorce. You've sold us a couple policies over the last few years. We just need to sit down and make sure we change the beneficiaries, blah, 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 blah." Cool. Go sit with them or sit with her, go talk to her, get her life stuff squared away, change your beneficiaries, get to small talking. She's 62 years old. She wants to retire in the next 2 to 3 years. Has no idea what to do for retirement. This is your average clients. I'm telling you right now, this is your average clients. Has no idea what to do with retirements. I showed her the graph, started talking to her a little bit about how making sure that retirement monies that she has accrued over her career is taken care of and completely protected so she can't lose it in her retirement years. I had no idea where she was at as far as her retirement money and what she had accrued in 401ks. And I just said, "Kathy," I said, "ballpark for me, help me understand, like, what are we looking at? How much are we talking?" Without batting an eye, she said, "I've got about 600,000. 600,000. Okay. And this is my facial expression when she says that. Okay, 600,000. All right. And how much of that 600,000? I'm not, "Oh my God, you got 600,000. We can take it." No, I'm just, okay, 600,000. It would have been the same facial expression if she would have said 60,000. Same facial expression. Okay. Kathy, of that 60,000 or 600,000, whatever it is, how much of that are you okay with losing? And I straight up asked her that. How much of that 600,000 are you okay with losing if the market fell out tomorrow? You know what her response was? Everybody else's freaking response. None. I've worked hard for that. I've saved, I've accrued, I've stocked, I've contributed. Like, I don't want to lose any of it. Okay. You ever heard of the concept of a fixed indexed annuity? It's basically a savings account on steroids. You can't lose anything due to market volatility, but you're going to get way more growth than it's sitting in a bank, savings account, CD, money market account. And I showed her the graph. She's like, "Can you send me that graph? I'm interested. Like, I want to, hey, how much can I put in that? How much can I move into that? Can I protect it all?" Like, these are the questions she's asking me when we're talking about this. So guess who's going to sit back with this client second week of August after she's closed on her house, got all the divorces finalized, yada, yada, yada. Guess who's going back in 3 weeks to sit with her and talk to her about, hey, realistically, what does it look like if we start the process of moving this money, making sure your retirement's completely protected, your nest egg's protected. You don't have Barry's income or Barry's retirement money anymore because y'all are going through a divorce. Like, how can we make sure that this is completely protected and there for you for the rest of your life that you cannot outlive, so that you know, hey, I've got that financial security and I don't have to go ring the bell at Walmart because I spent it all or used it up too soon. That's a conversation we're going to have with her. And those are two very diverse females in the same age bracket, 61, 62 years old. One of them's got 600,000 in 401ks that's accrued all these years. And one of them's got what was a $38,000 college savings plan that's down to 30,000 now. And her little IRA that she's been contributing to through the company there over the last few years is up around 40,000. Two very different lifestyles that these females are going to have. But guess what? Whether it's 600,000 or whether it's a combined 60,000, that is their living. That is their livelihood. That is their nest egg. That is their lifestyle. And you are doing them and you a disservice when you just go sit down and sling insurance applications. Okay, your kids don't have to bury you now, and boom, skippity hippity hop off to the next appointment because you made your $500 or your $700. Insurance agents across this country every single day sit with clients and leave boatloads and boatloads and boatloads of money on the table because they're not doing their due diligence and really talking, asking the questions, finding out the money that these people have. Guys, this is one of the reasons why I love final expense leads. I love final expense leads, man. These people are retiring. They've lost their life insurance because they're retired now. They need a policy to bury them so their kids don't have to start a GoFundMe account. And a lot of them have a pile of money and they don't know what the hell to do with it. And if you're willing to study, learn the products, get a little better at what we do, and ask those questions because you care and you've taken an interest in them and they trust you already, I'm telling you right now, you will watch your world, your life, your bank account change when you go the full distance and do what's right by these people. I'm telling you right now. Here's a book, Safe Money, Your Roadmap to Retirement. This book was written by a combination of several of us agents through National Agents Alliance. There's some agents in here that, their names in the book because they paid for it. And then there's agents in here that have actually done something and been able to contribute. And this one genius agent right here, Mark Hutcheson of the Hutcheson, just kidding. My point is there's stories in here about clients that I've helped, clients that Brant Swindell has helped, clients that Brandon Beal has helped, just clients that Chris Norris has helped. This book is a layman's guide that you can leave to your agent or to your clients, and even get some for other of your agents. I've left so many of these books with my clients and had them call me back and hey, I read your booklet. I'm ready to sit down and talk more about this. This book right here is a layman's guide through stories, through explanation of the basic concepts of how fixed indexed annuities work and why they're so powerful and why they're so valuable. I've got a couple boxes of these books. You can get them through the NAA store. They're $9.95 a book. Through NAA, $9.95 a book. I've got, like I said, a couple boxes of them. If any of y'all that can hear this are interested and want them, I'll give them to you for $5 a piece. I'll sell them for $5 a piece, cover the cost that I paid for them. And if you get at least 10, so $50, 10 books, I'll cover shipping cost as well to get them to you no matter where you're at in the United States. Y'all got my contact information. Hit me up if buying some of these books in bulk would interest you in order to leave them to your client. And it's not something, hey, I'm going to come back in 2 weeks. I'm going to pick this book up. No, when I give it to my client, hey, I don't need this back. This is your copy. Doesn't cost you anything. Take this, read this. I've got an appointment scheduled with you this time next week. I'm going to be back this time next week. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to look at options for you to make sure that you and your wife, your husband, your family are protected. Your financial nest egg is secure, and you don't have to worry about putting your head on the pillow at night and wondering if you're going to wake up the next morning and see all you've worked hard for and saved up for is completely wiped out because of what the economy is doing, what the market's doing right now. So this book right here is incredibly valuable. This is written by NAA agents that have contributed to this. Several of us that have had experience with annuities, and it's in layman's terms. So there's no big, $10 words, $10 phrases. You got to have an insurance license to know what we're talking about. It's nothing like that. But I leave these books everywhere I go with clients that, we've had the conversation with, showed them the graph, they're interested, leave the book with them and follow up with them in a week or so, go sit back with them. In that time is when you reach out to Nick, to myself, to Bam, to Chris Norris, to whoever, and get the resources and the answers that you need, so that when you go back to help your clients, you kind of got a path of, hey, here's what we're doing, here's what we're talking about, here's questions that I need to ask. 942, that's part 2 of this annuity series, I guess. But guys, seriously, at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, do yourself and your clients a service, the right service, by asking the questions, finding out what they have, finding out where their monies are, their safe money that we call it. Find out where it's at and show them that there is a better way. There 100% is a better way. There's 3 things that clients are worried about when it comes to their money. Obviously, the first is safety. I don't want to lose anything. I've worked hard all these years. I've contributed, my employer's matched, whatever. I don't want to lose anything. Nobody likes the thought of, I had this and now I'm here because the market decided to do what the market does. Nobody likes that, especially when it's out of your control. It really sucks. So security of principal is the number 1 thing that people are concerned about. Second thing that people are concerned about, hey, I want my money to work for me. I want it to grow. I don't want to just hoard it all, stick it in a coffee can, bury it, and 5 years later, go dig it up. 9.1% inflation, your money's not going to be worth near as much as what it was when you put it in the ground. So the second thing that people are worried about is my money growing. Is it working for me? And then the third thing that they're worried about, do I have access to it? Is this something I just got to sock away for 10 years? Can't think about it, can't touch it. It's just gone for 10 years. And then at 10 years, I can finally get it. Most annuities, most fixed indexed annuities, you can access up to 10% penalty free every single year, so that you still have access to your money. You can still get it without paying penalties, early surrender penalties on it. And last thought on that, the insurance companies make you do your due diligence. You have to pass suitability on these annuities. All they're doing is making sure if a client has $1 million and they want to put it all in annuities, and outside of that $1 million, they don't have savings, they don't have other investments, money market accounts, CDs, they don't have anything else. All their liquid assets, they want it tied up in annuities. Insurance company isn't going to let it happen. Believe it or not, this is one of the rare cases when big bucks, big money, big business is actually making sure the clients are having done what's best for them. They won't let you tie up all their free money into annuities. They got to have a big chunk of it set aside, money for a rainy day, money for financial crisis. So you don't put all your money into an annuity and, oh crap, a year later, you need a new car, a new refrigerator, a new air conditioner. And next thing you know, you're having to go pull $40,000 out of your $200,000 annuity to pay for all this stuff. They're not going to let you put it all in there and not have extra set aside. So the new insurance companies are actually making sure that suitability is doing what's best for your client and your client's financial resources. A lot of information. I get that. Go to ARC. Go to the ARC, American Equity, under carriers, product information, product resources, whatever is right there on the left-hand side, and indexed annuity benefits. Click that link and boom, there's a graph that you can show your clients. Hey, of these 2 lines, not a trick question, of these 2 lines, which one would you have your money represented if you could? 100% of the time, green line, green line, green line. They don't like the red line. Too much volatility. Your clients don't like the red line. Their money's in the red line. You need to help them get it out, get it to the green line. All right, guys, appreciate you. I'm going to end this right here. I got to go spend some time with my family. You got my number. Seriously, I'll do those books, $5 a piece. You get 10 or more. I'll handle the shipping on it as well. Hit me up. Let me know how we can help. We'll do section 3 here coming up soon. Love you guys.